Hello, everyone. It is I, Diego Reed, one of your hosts of 3AM Bagels, joined by the two other hosts, Aiden Thurnow and CJ Grass. And today we are joined by two very, very special lads. Let's have this one lad here introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Gabe Kurfman, and I'm a senior here at Belleville West.
And go ahead. Sorry, Eric. I just want to say Gabe has a very long resume. He's been very active Belleville West student the past couple of years. So would you like to talk a little bit about your resume?
Sure. I have it pulled up here because if I don't, I wouldn't remember everything that I do. I keep busy pretty much every single day of the week.
It's a subtle flex.
Subtle flex.
I wouldn't call it that subtle.
I am the head drum major of the Marching Maroons here at West, the captain of the boys cross country team, the president of the Model United Nations program, a co-captain of the Scholar Bowl team, a co-president of the Astronomy Club.
Yeah, Astronomy Club!
Along with Aiden Thurnow over here.
Yeah.
And in my spare time, I'm also a member of the boys tennis team, the speech and acting team, the Science Olympiad team, German Club, FCA, and I also do jazz band and concert band in my spare time. I am employed at a civil engineering firm called Gonzalez, where I do drafting work. I'm a member of various honor societies, and then outside of school, I'm also an Eagle Scout and Mr. Maroon.
Woo!
What about ping pong?
Oh, yeah, with the ping pong.
Yeah, and I have two major things that I'm starting up here in my last year of Belleville West. One is a ping pong club that we're getting up off the ground with the help of teacher Mr. Thurston. And the second one is called BFS, which you will learn more about later.
Yes, which I'm also a part of. What am I? Am I the treasurer? Am I?
Secretary.
I'm secretary. Yes, that's what I am. And our next lad here does not have a diverse resume, but he's very new to Belleville West. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Eric Perchbacher. I'm a freshman here at Belleville West. Like Gabe, I'm also in the same things as him. I'm also part of the speech and acting team, doing the same event with Gabe, X-Temp. I also do theater with Diego, and Aiden, too.
Yeah.
And I'm also an Eagle Scout, too, which is really
Wow, we got two Boy Scouts honors right here. All right, so we're going to talk about COVID impacts on students, and this has affected all five of us.
Diego.
Yes?
You forgot a very special guest.
I'm sorry. Okay,
There's one more
introducing
guest.
our and probably the most important special guest. We
Whoa,
have,
more important than Gabe and Eric?
Argue.
objectively,
Guagua Guagua is pretty important.
Guagua.
The most important.
Who created Guagua?
Cooper did.
Cooper did?
My friend Cooper.
Now, going on to COVID impacts on students.
But before
So-
the COVID impacts,
COVID impact.
no IDs for the podcast.
Okay.
Let's go.
Oh.
Whoa. Take off.
I took off my ID
Is
earlier.
this anti-ID sentiment?
Guagua probably
It's
wouldn't
more
exist
fun.
if it wasn't for COVID. So
Exactly.
really,
Exactly.
Really, COVID provided many great things for us, such as Guagua.
Such as Guagua.
Such as Guagua.
Most important.
All right, so the reason why I brought Gabe and Eric on here is because these guys are very good speakers. In speech and acting, they do an event called extemporaneous speaking, which is global political speech where you were given a question and they have to create a speech within how long?
You have 30 minutes to prep it, and
Yes, they have-
then it's a 7-minute speech.
Yes, and so not only did I choose them for this topic, but I also chose Eric because you were in middle school during the big COVID shutdown. So, yeah, us seniors don't know what it's like. I mean, Aiden has a little sister.
Yeah, I have a younger sister, but she's going into middle school just now, so she was in
Elementary. Yeah, so
elementary.
many people don't, many high schoolers don't understand or know what it's like for a middle schooler to go through that. So my first question is this. On Friday, March 13th, 2020, was when we got the call from Merton's boy saying we were going to be off school for the next 2 weeks. Where were you guys when you got the call? And also, Eric, when did you get the call that you were going to be off? Because we got it in around March. When did you guys get it? So I guess we'll just start off with Gabe.
Start off with me. Well, I'm sure everybody has their own stories. Like, where were you when you got the phone call? I do not remember it all. My most solid memory from around that time was in my English class. I had Miss Schlescher, and it was a big group, and we, did a lot of talking about, current events and things. And as it, it came up in China and started spreading across to different nations, and specifically Abby Stone, one of our fellow seniors, was pretty worried about it. And I remember multiple classes, arguing with her, telling, "Hey, the flu kills, thousands of people every year. This is nothing to be worried about. You're over-exaggerating it." And then 2 days later, we got the call that we'd be out of school for 2 weeks because of it. And, now 3 years into the pandemic, I would like to issue a formal apology to Abby Stone because it was, in fact, a big deal, contrary to my belief at the time. So, a lot of little things that probably happened in there that later would be really significant. I just don't remember because I thought it would be a little deal, at the most off for 2 weeks and then back. So, looking back on it now, all those little things added up. It was a really big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Let's actually go to CJ and Aiden. Where were you when you got the call?
I was probably at home.
You were at home?
I don't remember the exact.
The best place to get a call.
I don't remember the exact moment it happened, but I remember the moments leading up to it because I remember every single class that day was yeah, take all of your stuff home just in case we don't come back for a while.
Oh yeah.
And being in band that last Friday was so surreal because I had seventh hour band then, so I was just hanging out in the back with the bass section because I play bass, and so we were all just talking who should take the bass music home, and they told me, Aiden, you should take the bass music home because you're the most reliable. I'm okay, so I have all this bass music I'm taking home. And then I take it home, and then, of course, at 5 o'clock, we get the call from Mr. Burns. It's we will not be attending school for 2 weeks. And then it ended up being a lot longer than that. So
yeah. Right.
So I was also probably at home. I don't remember it very well. I'm sure I was probably just playing video games in my room, and my mom probably just came in, or my dad or something, and was like, "Hey, we just got a call. Apparently school's out because of whatever this new COVID thing is," and I probably was just cool. And
more video games.
Kept playing video games. I do remember in a week or something, the last few days of school, I remember a lot of talk going around about it. Most memorably, I just remember in Mr. Thurston's class, just all of us were very excited to get out of school because we all kind of assumed we were going to get out of school. I think that's why it didn't surprise me much whenever we got the phone call because we kind of expected it already to some degree. Mm-hmm. So, but I just remember kind of being excited about it because I was woo, no more school. I mean, this COVID thing, not a cool thing that it's killing people, but I'm out of school, so I'm, positive thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, 6-8 months into not really seeing other human beings,
it gets to you.
Yeah, I'm very glad we're back in school. I could not do online school any longer.
Yeah. It's crazy, how unprepared we were, going into it. Because I think when we got the call that we were off school, it was still, a pretty far away thing. I think the first U.S. cases had happened in Washington.
Yeah, in January. I actually just looked this up. I don't know. Someone was asking, and it was January,
I was asking, I think. Yeah, I was asking.
Was it
class.
January 17th? January 12th? One of those?
I don't know.
It was
it was right around
I'd have to
there
look it up.
It was
Washington.
it was a senior center in Washington or something that they had a group that had flown in from China, found out later that they were infected with it, and those were the first cases in the U.S. And I thought the district was being really proactive with it because everybody around the school, was are we going to call it? Or are they not going to call it? And then, they called it, and it was kind of a surprise to me at least because I was dang, 2 weeks is a long time to be away from school. How am I going to get through with all this homework and stuff when we get back in 2 weeks from now? And then 4 weeks in, we get the call that, hey, yeah, actually, we won't be coming back this year, and also grades don't count.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't actually at school. I was at home when they got the call. And actually, it's a weird, sour moment for me because 2 days after that happened, my grandma passed away. So I had to deal with not only family mourning, but also not being able to go to school and have that connections with friends. And that was just really tough on me and my family, as well as like my grandma was, she was big on volunteering and lots of people knew her. So when we had a funeral, like it was just only closest family members because everyone was so scared to go out. And so it was kind of a sad moment, like, and it's a weird way for me to remember that's the day that my grandma died, is 2 days after March 13th. But I mean, I've learned to live with it and, take her teachings and, try to become a better person because of it. So yeah, that's how I learned when I got the call. All right.
What about Eric? Eric didn't talk about.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Eric.
No, it's fine. I haven't been like very like out, but so March 13th for me, when I found out, I was actually practicing for my spring musical. It was James and Giant Peach, and I got to be James. No. So it was super exciting. We did one show, but on March 13th, I found out that I was not going to be going to school for 2 weeks, but I was also not going to be able to perform my last show. And of course, that's always the biggest show because everybody puts in their effort. And it was just super sad for me to like know that I can't do what I love anymore because of this deadly virus. And it would just really hurt me because like I was just super excited to be this big part.
Yeah, exactly. That was the same thing for me. Our sophomore year, we were doing On the Town, and that was my first bigger part, that I got a speaking role and everything. But they said that we weren't doing it anymore, and everyone was bummed. But segueing onto that, we lost a lot of activities from the impacts of COVID. Now, what was like some of the biggest things that you lost or changed because of COVID in terms of activities wise?
I mean, in terms of hours missed, marching band easily. Mm-hmm. I know that Diego and I'm not sure, Aiden, if you were doing it that year as well.
Yes,
yeah, we went to the first bit of band camp that year, and it was like, or no, did we?
It was like a hybrid band camp where half of us would come in the morning and half of us would come in the evening.
And then halfway.
You're talking in like the summer before. It would have been our junior year, so summer 2020.
Junior year.
But then they started to phase out, and then we didn't even get our full 2 weeks. That before the end of it, they decided, band camp is too much. We have to cut it completely. And then just trying to put together a show was like impossible.
Yeah. We only did like 3 sets and they were all awful.
Yeah. And so coming in, that was the first year that I was a drum major. And so Kennedy and Jake were the senior drum majors that year. And so I came in, trying to learn everything that I needed to do to be the head drum major the following year and trying to learn everything that I could while people weren't there. There was an alphabetical, the first half of the alphabet went one day and the second half the next day. And it was really tough. We lost a lot of hours that we would normally spend rehearsing. But which is a nice thing. We all found our own little things to do. I think one of the good things that COVID did was gave people some alone time to do what they enjoyed at their houses. But like the time lost was definitely a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what about you, Eric, from middle school? I know you're just talking about the musical, so yeah.
Well, so my band also like shrunk. Like the next year coming in after COVID, which would have been my 8th grade, there was only like 5 kids in band and choir. And it's still actually like that. Like there's just no more kids do it because like they just think that COVID is still like a big thing. And like playing instruments, you have all that air from your instrument going out and blowing all over the place. Mm-hmm. I played the baritone, so of course that would be even worse. But I remember my band teacher, he would give us masks, and they would have slits in them.
Yeah.
And then we would play through them. I kind of liked the idea, but it was still just kind of weird because, like, you would have the instrument still just, like, blowing out all the air. Yeah. But, he was so, like, smart, and he came up with, like, so many good decisions to still keep band going. And I wish people would, like, still do it over at my school, which is MG, by the way, I didn't mention. But, yeah, it's just really sad. And we've had a lot more things close, like Scholar Bowl for me, too. We didn't get to play anybody because of the risk that somebody may get COVID. And so that also closed down. So a lot of things affected my school, which I wish kids would be more involved, because I see, like, with the freshman class too, like, there's just not as many kids as I see with, like, all you seniors that have tons and tons of people that are doing theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID has had some huge lasting impacts on participation and stuff. I know at the middle school level and at the high school level, you know, the band is struggling for participants. Any smaller organization, my scout troop is like having an internal crisis right now because of lack of participation. I'm sure, is yours the same?
Yeah, same way.
That it's people stopped getting involved, and then getting them involved in large numbers again is so hard, because all it takes is one of your friends that says, you know, I don't want to do it, and then that entire group of kids is like, okay, we're not going to do this activity. And then all those little groups that used to have so much involved members in it is just kind of fell apart. At the start of COVID, the participation dropped, and even now, as things are beginning, it looks like, to start getting back to normal, those participation levels haven't increased. And that's, you know, definitely worrying for me, who's involved in a lot of stuff, and anybody who has anything that they want people to get involved in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, CJ?
I mean, yeah, I was going to say our physics class.
Yep.
Yeah, our physics class, we're in AP Physics 2. There's 7 people in there. There's 8 people at the beginning, and, you know, someone dropped it within the first week or two of the semester. And I think in AP Physics 1, I don't know exactly how many people, but there must have been like 60 at least people in AP Physics 1, probably more. And, you know, normally an AP Physics 2 class probably has at least one classroom full of people, you know, at least like 20, 30 people. We got 7. And, you know, and I think a big portion of that was all of the stuff we did online. You know, we just did pivot interactives. I mean, you know, that's all jargon stuff, so I don't think that's really needs to be explained. But, you know, it just wasn't very good to learn physics online. And, you know, that made a lot of people drop the class because they were so intimidated by it. And, yeah. But another thing that got canceled from COVID last year, or not 2 years ago, sophomore year, was Science Olympiad. I don't know I know Aiden, Gabe, I know you guys were on that. At least in my experience, it was super lucky because me and my partner, we did nothing. I think we were assigned to like 3 events or something. And like all of them were like events that you kind of just went on and just used knowledge and did stuff. They weren't stuff that you like necessarily had to prepare for besides studying. But we didn't study at all. We just, you know, we just chilled in Science Olympiad, talked to other people, maybe helped out some other people here and there a little bit. But we just had fun in Science Olympiad. We didn't do anything really. And whenever like it was getting close to like the events and stuff, we were like, uh-oh. And then it got canceled, and we were like, you know what? I feel really bad for everybody else, but like, huge win for us. So, and what was your guys' experience with that? Because you guys, I know, spent a lot more time in it than I did.
Would Aiden like to speak on it?
I have an addendum to make. So, I lied. I wasn't at talking about theater reminded me that I wasn't at home when I got the call. I was actually at...
Play the sound. Play the sound.
Which one? Like,
that one, yes.
Wait.
No, play it. I hope you can hear that.
They can.
Yeah.
It's sad because I lied to you all. No, I just forgot because that Friday was probably Picasso at the Laughing Agile.
Oh, yeah.
Rehearsal.
Yeah.
And I remember like finishing it up, and then we probably got done around 4:30 because that's about when contest play stuff gets wrapped up. And then like they had just taken pictures, and our contest was like the next weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
yeah.
I remember.
And then IHSA was like, we're not going to do it this year. And then so contest play was like, we're not doing contest play this year because we're not going back. And then I think I either got the call. The call either happened while I was at theater, and my mom was like, hey, check this out. We're not coming back. Or I managed to get home, and then that happened. So maybe I was at home. But
yeah, I think one of the things that we didn't really lose it, but like changed a lot was speech and acting. Like Gabe can also attest for this as well, is it became all virtual. So the first, I like to split it up in the halves. So the first half of virtual speech, we had to record each video. And because we didn't have like the proper guidance of recording, I would keep on recording and re-recording and re-recording because I would make a little mistake and then just go back. And so I would spend like 3 to 4 hours just trying to record an 8-minute speech. And I got to the point where I wanted to quit speech. But then we started to do Zoom competitions where we would compete in a Zoom call and watch other competitors compete as well. And that saved me, you know, from wanting to leave speech entirely. So, yeah, that was not very fun. And so continuing on that, the 2021 year was the first year of hybrid school year. So that was our junior year. Sophomore year, like the rest of it, we just lost it. But junior year was the first introduction to a hybrid year where students would come to school for one part of the week, so the A-B days, and the others would just be at home online. Now, did you guys prefer this system, or was it more damaging to your mental or physical health?
Let's see. Was that your freshman year, or was that your 8th grade year?
So this would have been my 8th grade year. We did something a little bit differently. We would all go just the same day, I believe. But instead, like, the school day would be like 4 hours, which was really weird. And we had a ton of homework to do afterwards, which really sucked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we just showed up every day.
Mm-hmm. That's how my brother's middle school was as well. I have 3 younger brothers that were all in middle school at the time, and it was the same way with them, that they would go in for like an abridged day, I guess, so that they wouldn't be in contact with each other for as long. And it was a weird system coming from, you know, high school where we did a hybrid thing where, you know, letters, I think A through K went in on the A day, and then the rest of the alphabet went in on the B day. And it was definitely tough, you know, coming out of, we were the only class that, so in the school now, that like had that experience of being in person in normal conditions. Now, like everybody else who's in high school right now, other than the seniors, have never had a normal high school year.
That's true.
And that's pretty crazy. But coming in from us who like had that experience, it was super weird to go back hybrid. And it felt like so many of my friends that I used to eat lunch with or be in classes with were in that B day, who then we never got to see or contact with at all. And even just like the days being split felt so weird, being home for one day and then in person on the opposite day. It felt like the A day got all of the 3-day weeks, and somehow we ended up with the same amount of days for each one. But the A day always went in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the B day was always Tuesday, Thursday. Yet somehow it worked out that the A and B day had the same amount of days. But for the A day people, it felt like so much longer.
Yeah, exactly. And like coming back senior year as well, like there were so many unfamiliar faces. I mean, generally you're not going to know a lot of people, but just the amount of like weird people I encountered, not weird people, just like people I didn't know that I encountered. I was just like, am I in a different school?
Yeah.
Well, West kids are kind of weird.
And it, oh, CJ, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, who here did hybrid? I don't think you did hybrid.
Oh, Aiden was.
You did hybrid?
I was full remote.
Aiden was full
I
remote.
did hybrid.
Yeah, I did hybrid for the first, like, period that we came back. And then, like, when they, well, no, so it's like, they tried to start up hybrid, like, you know, a week or 2 into school starting, and then they did it for like a month, and then we went back. Everyone had to go full remote for a little bit, and then they came back. I did not come back to hybrid the second time, but I did hybrid the first time, and I hated it. Like, because it was such a weird thing where, like, when I wasn't on hybrid days, I was staying up till 2 o'clock, and then, or like on my school days, and then whenever it was my school days, I had to go to bed, or, you know, I had to, like, try to fall asleep at, like, 11 o'clock or something to get up. And going back and forth between that, like, was so difficult for me. And, you know, you can say that's, you know, kind of my fault, which, I mean, it is. But, you know, it just, I mean, it was just really difficult for me to get on a schedule because one day I really just wanted to stay up late, and then the next day I couldn't. I just really struggled with motivation with that. It was a lot easier to stay with one or the other for me, which is why I stayed full remote the next semester. But, I mean, how's that with you guys?
I didn't mind it at all. It was weird. I did and didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy the fact that, like, I could actually sleep in on some days and, like, take my time doing my work. But at the same time, I think it put all of us juniors at a significant disadvantage when it came to like standardized testing stuff. And thank God, like Illinois passed a bill that year that said that all public schools could be test optional when applying. So, but still, like I felt like I could have got such a higher score on the SAT. You got like smart man score, didn't you?
Yeah. But it was just, a little bit of luck, a little bit of taking the time to practice on my own. I found out today that I got the highest score in the entire school.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that.
Cool. That's
But
pretty cool.
it was just, it really hit a lot of people hard because every other class before us, their entire junior years were devoted to studying for that test.
Mm-hmm.
I knew because I'm like a year ahead in my math classes. I took the doubled up my freshman year. So I was taking the junior year class my sophomore year. So got to experience all of that SAT prep that they were doing in that class all year for it. And then when we got to our junior year and I was listening to all the people who like were taking the regular math class for that year, they were like, what's all this SAT prep that you're talking about? We're not doing any of that because we're hybrid and there's so much stuff going on. The teacher's teaching the same lesson 2 days in a row because they have to do it for 2 separate groups of people. And then we just didn't get that prep that everybody else had been a part of. And I think that played a big role in it. It'd be interesting to look at the graph for like SAT scores for our class in relation to all of the others because there's definitely some weird stuff that I'm sure you'd see on that.
I definitely think the average has gone down at least by, if I were to say at least by 100 points. At least. I feel like I could have done so much better, and I only did a little bit of studying. I even took a PSAT, and I did 10 points less than my sophomore PSAT that year. But I was able to get above the scoring that I wanted. So, yeah, that's how it was. And here's another question for you guys. Did you guys have any fun or memorable stories from the COVID and hybrid school year? I can go first because I already prepared this, if you would like me to.
Go for it.
So I think my most memorable one is when we were doing, it was junior year, and for fall play, we did Fully Committed. And for rehearsals in the beginning, we always had to be on Zoom. And it was kind of boring, and it wasn't the most exciting thing in the world. And I was thinking, well, how can I make this more fun? And so I decided to wear a funny, goofy hat every single rehearsal. So one of the hats I wore was a crocheted Seahawks hat my aunt made me. Another one was this giant giraffe foam hat that I would wear every single time. And I also wore like a Star Wars mask. And what else did I wear? I think I wore like a bedazzled like cap my sister has. And so, yeah, I think some people got a kick out of it. And so that was something nice, to just brighten some people's day by being silly.
Yeah. I mean, one of the funniest things that I thought was when we started going back into school. I do Scholar Bowl, which is like a trivia buzz-in kind of game show type club. And so we just got back into that, and we were doing online Scholar Bowl tournaments, which was like completely bizarre. I thought they would just cancel it out right before they do that. But we called in to a Zoom meeting, and they had us all come into school, so they knew we weren't cheating. So we went into the library, and we spread out across the entire library area, and we all had our Chromebooks opened up to Zoom, and so we were in this like match with the other team. And then on our phones, we logged into an app called Buzz-In, which had like a big green button on it. And so our team, instead of, being sitting right next to each other like before, is spread out across the entire library, like 20 feet apart. We all have our own computers and our little buzzers down there. And you could just hear people like thinking in the background and slamming on their phones for it. It was just so bizarre. And just like the weirdest little green button on the phone screen. But, I mean, we made it work. We had a lot more fun than if we would have never done it at all. And it was just those weird experiences that I think our generation is going to have going forward, that if nothing else, we're at least going to be, have a lot more ingenuity, be able to come up with weird, unique solutions to solve stuff, because we've definitely been through some troubles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Do Aiden or CJ or Eric have fun, memorable story? No. All right. Well, the next couple of questions I have go into a little bit more deeper thinking and a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, controversial, I guess I would say. But before we begin to that, I have a surprise prepared. Now, before this podcast and interview, I told Eric and Gabe that I was preparing certain questions for this. But what I didn't tell them is I had game extemp questionnaire questions prepared for them.
What?
So play the fun little game show music. There it goes. So this is the extemp. Yes, play it. Yes. Yes. So this is our extemp questionnaire game. So I have 6 questions prepared for both of you, and they're all COVID related. So if you know the answer, just shout it out and tap in, and you will get a point. If neither of you know it, then Aiden and CJ have a chance to guess as well. If none of you can,
we were in on this game too.
Well, it's going to go to them first, then to you guys, and everyone could just think, no phones. And if you get it wrong, then the listeners will be disappointed. Aiden just threw his phone across the room. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But it's fun. There's so much to live for. No,
it's not for the
Don't do it. Don't do it, CJ.
Don't do it, CJ. All right. Now, all right. So if you want to slam your hands on the table, you can, and then
ready.
CJ and
Or we
Aiden
could
can
like snap.
snap, slams,
All right.
whatever.
Yeah, the slamming might make pretty bad audio.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
I'll just clap really loud.
Okay.
Bam.
Don't clap.
All right. So are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna start off with an easy one that has been answered already. Which state had the first recorded case
Buzz.
of COVID-19?
Washington.
That is correct, and you get a high five if you know the exact date.
Oh.
Yes. Do that every time we get it right.
Let's see.
No.
No.
Yeah.
there we
Oh,
that's
thank you.
All right.
Let's see. I don't know the exact date. I'm gonna go with January 15th, 2020.
Close. Eric, do you want to give a guess for the date?
All right, you said close.
Here, I'll write G and E right here so I can keep total.
Oh man, I'm gonna lose. The 17th.
It was the January 18th.
No!
Oh, so Gabe's going to give this one. In the
right.
next 3 months, almost 90% of the nation's states' governors would issue lockdown orders for the next few weeks to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Here's the next question. This one's a little bit trickier. What is the specific medical term used for COVID-19? Yes, Eric.
SARS.
Close, yeah.
I know it begins with SARS.
It does start with SARS.
Oh.
C.
Yes, come on. Getting there.
C2. No. Wait, really?
Gabe, do you want to guess?
I don't remember what it was.
You don't have a guess?
It's-
Aiden, CJ, do you have a guess?
SARS-CoV-19.
CJ, do you have a guess?
I feel like I don't know why, but I remember seeing it because I feel like we've all seen it before, right? We just don't remember it.
Yeah.
I know it's like something. Is it like human something virus?
It's
Like human-
it's not that,
Oh.
but it is SARS-CoV-2. So I'm giving
I
this
don't know
one.
what I
I'm
saw.
giving this one to Aiden.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was 2. But
I'm giving this one to
I thought
Aiden.
it was the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although the name is long, this is one of the many different kinds of strains of COVID. However, the strains of COVID in the past 2 years have been the most potent, such as like Omicron and Delta.
Yeah.
All of them named. Well,
They're all
wait,
Greek.
they're like, aren't they like?
Greek
They're all
letters.
Greek
Yes,
letters.
They're all Greek letters.
Yeah.
Except I believe now they have to use 2 letters. There's a recent one that we were talking about it on the Taga show.
In German.
It was like BO2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But we'll
Black Ops 2.
we'll have to look it we'll have to look it up
Blueberry
later.
just
But
dropped.
I think they've run out of Greek letters for
Okay.
all of the variants.
All right, you ready for the next question?
Hit
Is
me.
it B12?
Okay, so this is a 2-parter. So, which nation has the most recorded deaths of COVID-19 and how many is that total? So which nation has the most recorded deaths of COVID-19?
Well, it's not China because they have 0. Reportedly, reportedly, like their nation's official death total is still 0.
Oh, okay.
Definitely accurate. Let's see. I feel like it can't be the U.S.
No, it's not Germany either. They've been really good.
Italy got hit pretty hard earlier, but I can't remember if
Europe definitely did have some flashes.
Yeah,
it did.
But I don't know. Cumulatively.
Is it in an Asian country?
It is not.
I'm gonna go with Italy. Is it Italy?
Eric, guess. Go with your gut.
France.
Aiden, CJ.
It's the United States, and it's over 800,000.
CJ.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the United States. I also wait. So, what'd you say? Death total?
Well, yeah, we'll answer that next. We'll go country and then death total.
Yeah, but I mean, was the question like the country with the most death total?
Yes,
Okay.
country with the greatest death total.
Because I was gonna say, I feel like Africa or African countries, don't have a whole lot of protection against
That
it.
is true.
But I also don't feel like they don't have as large as a population as us. So, like, by percentage-wise, it might be an African country, but by death total, probably United States.
It is the United States of
Dang.
America with a total of 984,000 deaths.
I
when
thought
I
I
recently checked.
thought I just heard that it went over 900,000, but I wanted to be safe.
Yes, it went over. So, Aiden,
like,
you're
I
gonna
remember when I first said 100,000, when I first said 200,000, 400,000.
and so the fact
It doesn't stop.
Yeah, it's not. The fact with this one is last year the United States had around 300,000 people who passed away from COVID-19. The number has now tripled. So 300,000 last year.
It's a very grim statistic.
It's almost
All right,
it's
so
almost to 1 million then.
all right, so this
First
one.
place.
Yes, Aiden
Oh,
is in the total with 2
no.
points. Eric with 0. Gabe with 1.
I didn't mean that. I meant first place in deaths, but I
Oh.
am in third place in the game too, I guess.
America.
America number 1.
All right, so the next one we have is dealing with viruses. Now, this is 3 separate questions, and you can get a point for each one that you answer. So, name the American vaccine. One of them.
Pfizer.
Correct. Gabe gets a point.
Johnson.
Now,
Johnson
Johnson. You know what? I'll give you one because you named Johnson.
Oh,
Okay.
I know the last one. Do I get a point?
What's the last one?
Moderna.
Yes, it is. It is Moderna.
That's an American company?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was like
All right. Are you ready for the next one?
It sounds like
yes.
Name the Russian vaccine.
Oh. You're gonna say it and I'm gonna know it.
Starts with an S.
Come on, you represented Russia.
It was like
You represented
and
Russia on Model United Nations.
like
And you're telling me that Ukraine, that entire crisis, is more important than knowing your vaccine? This is a joke.
Sputnik.
Yes, it is Sputnik. Good job.
Wow. That was a good one.
And are you ready for the curveball?
Yes.
Name the Cuban vaccine.
Oh, wow. Oh.
You're not going to know it, are you?
try.
Starts with an A.
Does it start with an A?
Yes.
Remember, you're talking to Gabe Kurfman.
Oh, now I feel worse about not knowing it, ZJ.
It's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Your other achievements.
I didn't even know this until I looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah? Keep on going with
Apple.
No, it's what are you doing?
Are those cricket noises? Okay.
Does Eric know it?
I surrender. No answer.
a Cuban vaccine.
Yes. No, it's not that. Gabe was on the right path. It's Abdallah.
Abdallah.
Oh, I've heard that
Now,
before.
with one of Cuba's main incomes being tourism, they lost that very quickly to COVID. So Cuban labs were quick to rush to make their own vaccine in order to immunize their citizens, as well as possibly offering free inoculations to tourists who would land at the airport in Havana. So pretty much free. So come into the nation and then get vaccinated to have fun. So it's very interesting. All right, here's another one. What does corona mean in the word coronavirus?
Does that mean it's a respiratory infection?
It does not, but I have multiple choice because I thought this would be hard. It is it either A, crown, B, beer, C, ring, or D, sphere? That rhymed, and I.
Yeah, that did. That was tight.
So is it?
Say D.
I'm gonna say sphere.
I was gonna say
You're
D,
C.
but now I'm gonna say C now, just because.
Aiden, CJ.
Wait.
CJ saying B.
No, I'm doing.
Which
It's either crown, beer, ring, or sphere.
So it's A,
The beer
C,
virus.
or D.
so logically I think it's D because it's sphere, but I kind of want to think it's A for crown.
Are you gonna go for A or
Yeah,
D?
I'm going with A.
I want to go with C.
It is A. It is
Hey.
crown.
It would have been hilarious if it.
Now,
just
it,
imagine.
it is given this name for the spike proteins on the virus outer
Oh,
coating,
that's
giving them an
interesting.
appearance of a crown or a halo.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And those are little like boop, boop, little like
And Aiden has that one.
boingy things,
Aiden's
right?
gonna win.
Okay.
Aiden's winning with 4.
It's almost time to go.
It is almost time to go.
I need the winning point.
How long can everybody stay after?
I have the.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, we got-
Well, I do want to answer at least 2 questions with Eric and Gabe. So if you guys have to, if Aiden or
Yeah, if
CJ
you
have
gotta
to go,
step out.
okay. But to see if we can tie it for Gabe,
Yes.
what treatment have some people been using as a replacement for the COVID vaccine?
Oh, there's
I
a
know
lot.
This one.
Um,
Didn't Trump use it?
Masks.
It is not. Trump did not use it, but Joe Rogan did.
no, there's a treatment. Oh, people were drinking stuff.
Mm-hmm. It is a FDA-approved drug used to get rid of worm parasites.
Oh,
However, it is commonly used for cattle and horses to get rid of heartworm disease and other small parasite
yeah.
diseases.
I don't remember what it's called,
Does
but
it start with an M?
Starts with an I.
I don't know it then.
IV? Ive?
that's it. That's what it's called.
No. I was just giving nothing.
I don't know the answer.
It is ivermectin.
Aiden, did you know that?
No, I didn't. I was gonna talk about how my grandfather boiled like grapefruit and water. So like
That sounds like
Vaccine.
alcohol.
core.
it's the
cure. But yeah,
never mind.
I'm
Not
surprised that people have gone DIY with COVID vaccines and used ivermectin.
Yeah, so it's to treat a parasite. So I
Yes,
don't
it's well, people have been I don't know a lot about this topic. I'm just only speaking from stuff I have heard as well as other people. People have believed that COVID is a parasite, and so that ivermectin gets rid of parasites. So
Okay.
therefore, if A minus B equals C, that it will work.
Then
So
D minus
so
A
many
also
so a
equals
lot
C.
of people have been
If only COVID was a parasite.
If only.
if it was a parasite, that is correct, but people have been thinking it is a
How do
parasite.
you know, Aiden? Have you ever seen COVID-19?
Have I ever seen COVID-19?
You ever seen
No, but I
COVID-19?
have seen guagua.
All right.
All
Now
right.
I do
Final
now
question.
yes. Well, that was the last question.
No!
So Aiden is
Well
one.
played,
So
Aiden,
play
well
audience
played.
applause.
Yay! I wasn't even a guest and I won.
Good
Yay.
game, good game.
Yeah, you guys.
All right. So Aiden, do you have to go?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, I have. Can Eric
Does
and can
Guagua
you
have
stay
to go?
for like 2 more
Or I can
questions?
We're taking
I
guac.
just hope Mr.
I-
Little won't yell at me.
I have tennis practice.
You have tennis practice.
I do.
All right. Well, I do have one important question
See
that
if
I.
you could rapid fire it in like
Yes,
5
I do.
minutes?
I do.
Go.
Yes.
I can
Okay.
say
So.
that, like,
Getting on to the quick rapid fire hot topic questions. Most recently, mask mandates have been becoming less restricting, even allowing students to have mask optional in schools and on buses. Do you think that this was too soon of a development or the timing was just right? If so, what approach would you take if you were on the Board of Education? If you want to touch on like Conrad Dom and the
yeah.
BFA. So, Gabe, what is your opinion?
I was expecting like a trivia question. I was ready to buzz in.
This
the
is not a
answer.
trivia. It's not a trivia question.
Okay, going. Okay, first of all, that's a very good question, Diego. Pretty soon we will know what the general Belleville West population thinks about this issue, because Belleville East student Conrad Daum and I from the West Side have created an organization known as the BFS, or Belleville Federation of Students, and we're basically like gathering the student body together and polling them, asking them what they think about topics like COVID and removing mask mandates, but also a lot of other things like having 3 separate graduations and things that like students feel strongly about, but they're not sure how to like respond or try to get things changed to better fit them. And so the BFS we have an Instagram page. So if you are watching this, please go follow that. And
I was the 7th person to follow it.
Oh,
yeah.
you're an OG.
I followed it very early on too. I just
Yeah.
happened to see it.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
saw saw it on Gabe's
but I
page, and I was like,
very
oh,
Yep.
early.
So
yeah.
we are starting to gather strength and being able to make changes about stuff like that. My personal opinion is that I don't really have one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I got COVID early this January. It was like, yeah, that kind of sucked. So like, but after, I didn't have any serious symptoms or anything. And when it was done, it was like, okay, back to, going to school, wearing the mask and things. I think that a lot of the motivations for removing it are political, because with midterms coming up and Democrats with the majority, removing mask mandates help them to appeal to, on the border to
You're right. I never thought about
right-wing
that.
politicians in order for voters to be more likely to approve of them since they started lifting the mask mandates, because that's a hot topic issue coming into the midterms. So I don't think that the issue was entirely changed simply because of what was best for the people, more of what was best for the politicians. So we'll see what happens. I don't think that, it's going to happen how it happens. I don't know for sure whether it's going to be a positive development or a negative one. We'll just have to see.
All right, and last and final question: do you think that the way the government has been doing a decent job with handling the pandemic in the past few years? And if so, well, which country do you think has been handling it the best? Let's ask Eric.
Yeah, it's okay. I know Germany; they've been doing a really good job. All the people who weren't vaccinated, they had to be in lockdown, which I thought was a really smart idea. And I think that the U.S. should have done it as well. Honestly, our government, it's okay, but what I like to see most is them kind of like changing it up and showing that there is like some signs of hope by like maybe like dropping the mask mandate for like certain days where it's not as bad as other days. Yeah.
That's an interesting idea. Like they do for allergens.
Yeah.
Like they have a green, yellow, red zone.
Yeah, I wish they would do that, because then it would show, yes, there's more hope. And when it gets down further and further, then there'd be no more mask mandates as much. And then it would show, okay, it's finally over. And a lot of why COVID-19 is seeing an end is because of political like views and stuff, because people are finally like, all right, we're done. And yeah, that's why, which is also a big thing that's going to be the midterm elections, like Gabe said.
Yeah, and thank you so much for those two very quick and very great responses. And so we're wrapping this up, and so I would like to thank you, Eric Perchbacher. Actually, Eric, can you say your full name, please?
George Eric Perchbacher, and I am the seventh.
The seventh. The seventh. The seventh.
So cool.
So it's our own Belleville West, Eric Perchbacher, the seventh, along with Gabe Kurfman. Thank you two lads for being on our show, as well as Aiden and CJ staying a little while longer than they need to. That has been the whole episode. Go watch the first one where we talk about media, and the second one where Aiden and CJ talk to Harambe as well.
Some Harambe leaders.
Yes, well.
Check out that episode. It's going to be very exciting.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, and have a pleasant good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Wah, wah.
Bye.